Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome to the Ray eSports and Weekend Warriors Week 13 Season 2 runoffs here from Watkins Glen on an iconic Sunday. The Le Mans 24-hour has just finished, but this is where all the action starts again here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Tim Cox. We've got Samula Kula in the virtual production trailer, as always, joined by Charles Bashal. Charles, welcome along. Quite possibly actually there's no quite possibly, it is my favourite North American circuit, is Watkins Glen. Always great racing around here.
Absolutely. Thanks, Tim. And yes, mine as well. It's probably in my top 2 or 3 worldwide. I just love this track. Love driving it. Love talking about the racing here. Looking forward to an excellent way to cap off the Formula 4 season.
Oh, most certainly. So we've got action-packed evening, all crammed into one broadcast. First off, the Formula 4, so you have the Ford spec racers later on, both here from Watkins. Qualifying just getting underway right now for. Actually, no, apologies. We haven't got qualifying starting quite yet. Still just coming to tailing proceedings here in practice. Before then, we head across into the race, into qualifying, and then of course racing. Wow, it's going to be entertaining to say the least. And well, it's just the usual. The big names are here, aren't they? They're out in force, and they're all pretty much where they should be as well, as you see in practice. Arabian being the time machines, but I would like to say, look how close they are. But it's just what we come to expect, don't we? Top 3 separated by less than a tenth, and half a second gets you all the way down to Boy West in 12.
This is what you go to a Ray eSports race, and this is what you expect to see. Tight racing from the top of the grid all the way down to the bottom. So always really close lap times. Doesn't matter what the rating is, and yeah, and then when you get in the race, it's how many cars can we go wide? through this quarter. And that's
It
how
is.
that's all
Yeah, when you say this corner, it is literally just every corner.
It is.
Too wide. That's just child's play. Don't even have to think about it. It's practically single file in comparison to what these guys can manage to achieve. Interesting one though. Jason Green, our reigning champion in the Formula Ford, of course, picked that up last week at Road America in a amazing run to the line between himself and Overstreet. Separated by 3,000th of a second, if memory serves me right, Charles. And so, yeah, just I was going to say, the old cliche, you couldn't have got it any closer if you tried. Well, you could have done. It could have been 1,000th of a second, but yeah, they settled it at 3.
Yeah, 3,000ths of a second. And then that's from P4 to P5, and then 300ths of a second back to P6. So it's like I said, what we say is this is what you come to expect. They're gonna battle hard. Basically, practice times they're gonna be pretty close. Qualifying times they're gonna be really, really close. You'll see half the field within a second most of the time of pole, and this is no different than any other race, except, as you said, got all the heavy hitters in this race today.
I think that's what's going to make it all the more interesting. Stacked grid for us right now. Interesting one for me, though. It is practice, so essentially it doesn't matter. But Yangshi Lin is yet to set, well, I say set a time. He's been around the track numerous times, but he's had his time. Each and every one of his 6 laps he's completed, currently on his 7th. They've all been deleted due to track limits infringement. So, well, it's basically this practice, so just get them out of the way while you need to. It doesn't count for anything, it doesn't matter. Then get down to business stuff. And now, of course, well, last week in the SRFs, I had to stop and think about which make it was there, of course, with the 2 championships. And I mean, he had an absolute stunning race. To be fair, he's had some barnstorming the last couple of rounds. I still can't get out of my memory, Charles. Brands Hatch 2 weeks ago. I mean, what a race that was in the SRFs.
I mean, if you're going to talk about highlights of the season, that's probably got to be in the top 3, right? Is that the move he made to go outside, inside for 2 spots and coming out of 1 and into 2. Just obviously fantastic car control and some really, really great driving. So yeah, he's had the last couple of weeks have been fantastic for him.
Exactly, and it's a bit, of course. Marco Panero runs out of fuel and is losing time hand over fist for those last couple of laps, and then all of a sudden, bang! They're right on him. Final lap, the run to the line. Panero ends up finishing 3rd in the end, behind Lynn and Overstreet. It was well worth going back and watching that one from 2 weeks ago at Brands Hatch and well. So we've got plenty of time left here. We've got 25 minutes of racing in the first race, so not the usual 40-minute affair like we're normally used to seeing and normally graced with. So there'll be no pit stops in this one, just full throttle action from start to finish. I would say, place your bets, Charles. Who do you think is going to pick this one up? But this is, as always, I mean, just roll the dice pretty much between those top 8, I would say, and any of those are going to get it. Having said that, though, of course, as mentioned, Lynn hasn't set a time yet. I see as well Murakami well down. He's looking a little bit off the pace. So there's 2 names just at the moment, and we could have a few more join us potentially before this session's out. Kurt Nunes, I think he won't be too far off, but I think he'll be on the cusp. But so where are we up to now? Effectively, our top 10 will be in qualifying. I think it will come from one of those, but take your pick, really. You need 10-sided dice, don't we, to try and roll and work out who's going to be.
I mean, yeah, and I think still there's a better than even chance that you can be wrong. So, because as we've seen the last 2 weeks, it does. We come to the last lap of the race, and this guy's got this all sewn up, and then no, he doesn't. He's out of gas. So everything changes in the last lap, and which is kind of a breath of fresh air because we did have a little, at least in the SRFs, we had a streak there where Marco Panero was just running away with the field and was just dominating. I think 3 or 4 races in a row where it wasn't even close.
That Long Beach race, it was disgusting how good it was around there.
It was. So, So, you know, I like seeing the drama at the end of the race. Obviously, we don't, you know, we're not cheering for anybody to win or lose, but we're just cheering for a really good race and to see some great action.
Now, you mentioned it could actually be anyone outside of that top 10 that I alluded to earlier. Of course, we are at Watkins Glen. Perennial memes, and it does happen. It's that run out of, well, we're just seeing Antonio Race head out of now, out of turn 1, the 90. Once you get through those S's, this track pretty much turns into a street circuit. And up through this section of the track, well, take your pick. If one car makes contact with another and they're at the front, then they are taking a lot of people with them. And we could see a complete random outsider picking up victory here today.
Absolutely. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me in the least. The S's are, especially on cold tires at the start of the race, very, very difficult to try and go more than one wide. Obviously, you know, these are very experienced drivers with these cars. If anybody could do it, they could do it. But I've seen, obviously, you know, top split races with GT cars, and it all go horribly wrong in the first lap, and you've lost half the field.
Yes, we've all experienced that. We've all seen it as well to boot, and we have it here today, this evening. Good to see Mark Aaron mentioned it yourself. He's in the chat. Love to hear from you as always. Just drop us a message in there if you're watching along and what your thoughts are for the race ahead. Not long left in practice now, about 20 seconds left on the clock, and then we will get qualifying underway here from the Glen. And, well, we'll find out who's going to pick up the victory in the first race of this evening. As I mentioned earlier, the Formula Fords for 25 minutes of racing, and then it's across to the Ford spec races, the SRFs. Wow, the Formula Ford tends to invoke normally, I say, a smaller stroke weaker grid. I use that very, very mildly because there's some high quality drivers in here, no questions asked whatsoever. But the spec races, that's going to be even bigger and better and bolder. Make sure you stick around for that one indeed. But I can tell you, everyone's transitioned across to qualifying, and we're going to see some people head out onto the track. Who's going to get it? You don't quite know, do you? The thing is, we've got lone qualifying, so it's not the usual affair of bump draft behind people, which is a bit of a shame for the drivers in some way, because this is really a track where you can really draft with, and it's so useful.
Yeah, indeed. For these cars, my guess is there's probably 3 or 4 really good. Obviously, the front stretch, the run coming between the S's and the bus stop are the 2 primary drafting lines, where you can pick up to a half second in most cars. And then there's a couple other small straightaways that you can grab a 10th here and there just by being behind somebody. So yeah, the lone qualifying obviously is a little different than what we're used to seeing. So now it's just a matter of hitting your marks and getting your fastest lap.
See the temperatures. Oh dear, young Gillen having a bit of a moment there, and he's going to head straight back to the pits so he can go again. The drivers have 3 flying laps available to them. Oh, well, that's how to style it out, isn't it, Jorgmani? Just casually drifting through the carousel. Track temperatures, though, I mean, they're definitely warm, but not massively. 99 Fahrenheit, 37 Celsius. I'm a little bit surprised at how treacherous it seems for the drivers out there. Let's just see Marnie head up the hill. Was on his first opening. Well, it's not his flying lap, it's his installation lap. Just getting the car up to temperature. You expect to see the drivers keep going for the entirety of this right now and not pit in and go again, most likely. They do have these 3 laps, so this isn't out of the question. It isn't out of the round whatsoever. Really interesting. Who's going to claim the first pole position of the evening? There we go. Trenton Kramer having a bit of a wide moment there, and that's not the best way to start your lap of Trenton. Definitely not. as he heads up the hill. And there's another driver, Jason Green, one to watch out for, as we alluded to earlier on. Of course, your winner in the championship, well, the first ever, the inaugural championship in the Formula Fords, Charles, and I think you couldn't really argue it. Too much of a less deserving person, really. I mean, he was there consistent the whole season long, and I really battled hard for it.
Yeah, absolutely not. Jason's did a great job all year, and so you know, hats off to him for just being, you know, consistency will get you a long way. You don't always have to win every race. If you string together a lot of top fives, and you will be up on the top step more often than not.
Okay, so he's just coming around to complete his lap. Only a couple of more corners left, and of course this repaved version, a remodeled version of Watkins Glen, provides a little bit more runoff for our drivers, although not so much down at turn one. It's more harsher, the off-track limits through there. It's about you, Charles. If anything, I think I prefer the previous version. You could really, and also the curb seems to have a bit more of a lip in it now as well.
Yeah, it does. Obviously, they gave you a lot of room to run off to avoid, those natural turn one accidents that happen at the start of the race. But they also said, no, you know what? If you're going to take the off track, you're going to get a little bit of penalty for it. You got the ability to get back on. You get the X, but you don't necessarily will get to slow down unless you take it all the way to the grass. And so then they paved the heel on the runoff area there, so that makes things a little bit easier. It's the corner that always kind of really trips me up when I'm driving this course is I always kind of call it the bootstrap. So it's the one that takes you back onto what would be a NASCAR straightaway.
Yes.
Out of the boot. And so just to try to keep with the boot theme, I call it the bootstrap. It's the kind of the last little corner there, but the way it's cambered really kind of will mess you up. You have to be very careful with your line into and out of that corner. Otherwise, you're off in that runoff area or into the barrier, and that's day done most of the time.
Yes, it's definitely sort of ironed out the bump was very close to the exit, but it's still quite treacherous, certainly on cold sides. So we've got some times in, and well, that's a bit of a new name to us. Tim Hendrickson, the aptly named Team Torpedo. Not sure if there's any Daniel Kvyat relation to that one there. The driver's not of the same nationality. Tim is Dutch. So, I mean, up into second place and only, 500 of a second slower than Marnie, who set the provisional pole time at 1:58.65. But they are so close, half a second separating our top 12 right now. Also not out on track, I'm not sure if he's going to join us, is Felix Samals. That'll be one driver definitely intrigued to see. As Lynn has got a time in as well. So, as that Antonio race just goes, I mean, this will be a spectacle to see. If we can have two Masters drivers lock out the front row here at Watkins Glen, I love to see that. When Kay Lasky goes onto the second row with Hendrickson. He's managed a 1:58.8 as the Friends Arabian then just shuffles him down a row to go third. Time's coming in thick and fast as Hendrickson now goes faster, sits himself into pole position provisionally though. As I can tell you, Mayer, where is that? Simon Mayer really invigorated these last few weeks, and he gets himself up in the second row, third fastest right now, 1:58.4. I keep trying to go into hand to you and talk to you about something, Charles, and then all of a sudden someone puts another time in, and another one, and then someone else goes faster, and then someone else goes faster again. It's all happening out on track. I think we're nice at that nice little curtail period where they all went out at the start of the session, but I mean, I'd love to have two Masters drivers looking out the front row. That'd be absolutely spectacular to see.
I mean, they're close. I mean, it's 3/10 back from Hendrickson back to Reyes in P4. So, obviously we've seen Reyes and Monty Murakami during the course of at least the spec racers, from what I'm really used to seeing, and those guys always are at the top, or at least a lot of the times they're at the top of the board, challenging for wins against really stiff competition in that Spec 1 category. So yeah, I'd love to see that. I'd love to see the old guys up there on front row myself.
As Jason Green goes up into third there. Still not good enough for the front row of the grid, though, for our reigning champion with the 158.4 and only, what, 500, so the second faster than Mayer. So there's Antonio Rice up into second place. So that pretty much confirms we can't lock out the front row. Hendrickson's time still yet to be beat. That 158.168 race only 500ths of a second slower, as there goes Friends Arabian. He goes third, and then Marnie instantly replies to go third again.
Wow, what a lap.
There's some
by
absolutely
Hendrickson.
stunning times out there. I mean, basing it on iRating, I'm not surprised Hendrickson is up there at 8,300. However, considering the iRatings of everyone behind them being at least 3,000 less, well, I'd say good 2.5 minimum, that just shows the pace of everyone else behind him.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you're looking at 1 second in the top 10. It would have still a minute to play, so there's still a little bit of time to squeeze in one last lap before qualifying is done.
Garcias goes 16th there to move Paul Jackson down into 17th. As Lynn all of a sudden pops it up into the third row of the grid. He goes 5th. You'll join Jason Green on the third row. As things stand at the moment, who's still on laps? Overstreet, she's still going. Tom Laurie, who we can see right now. Franz Rex just started his first flying lap. So he's going to be another name to potentially watch out for. No time on the board yet whatsoever. But, well, no. Not the usual qualifying, where we spill over a bit. That's it. The cold, hard, fast shut. We're done. And we're across into racing. So that's definitely going to call a few of our drivers out, I think. Let's take you through the grid, though. Hendrickson starts on pole with Antonio Rice. Joining him on the front row. Then it's fellow Masters driver Marnie starting on the second row with Ferenz Arabian. Row 3 sees Yang Ji Lin. On up next to Jason Green. Then we've got Simon Mayer and King Lasky on row 4. With row 5 in your top 10 being rounded out by Megan Overstreet and Bobby West. Chris Murakami, he starts third in class, but all the way down in 11th alongside Dan Sadro on row 6. Row 7, that's Charlie Ficaro and Gary Rolbot, your first all-Masters row, with another all-Masters row behind them. It's Stevie Ray and Alan DeGarcias. Paul Jackson and Alan McCain, you'll spec 2 row there to make up row 9. With row 10, your top 20, it's Caleb Pocock and Corey Heffron. Row 11, that's his Trenton Kamer alongside fellow countryman Todd Laurie. Charles Martin, the Canadian, he's got, well, insert booze here and lots of abuse for our fellow commentator Austin Knight. You were getting zero sympathy whatsoever, Austin, if you stick it in the wall on the opening lap. Chris Montgomery, he's got Rennie Pike next to him. Charlie Vaccaro, Jeff Jacobson make up row 14, row 15 being Latorio and Hadlock to take you up to 30th. Then, not setting times. Be interesting to see if they join us. Hansen, ignore that one, that was a mistake from Bochelle. You think we know by now as commentators. Phil Perkins, Franz Reck, Felix Samaus, and Kurt Nunez. Not sure if they'll all take to the grid. Mark Carter being the last one. But could potentially be a 37 car, well, will be a 36 car grid for definite. I think Samaus and Nunez have joined the wrong session by mistake and then dipped back out, so we will not see them. Even so, 33 Formula 4s around Watkins Glen for 25 minutes. They're on the grid. The Porsche 911 safety cars about to take them round for the first time this evening to get them underway after the formation lap. Whew. I just don't know, Charles.
I don't know either. All I know is you would think, human beings are creatures of habit, and when you go into these events a certain way, you just don't even think about it, and then you end up getting on the driver's list for the race. So
I was going to say, it's this commentator's excuse 101. cutting in right now.
Yes, lame commentatory excuse.
Yes.
Incoming. So, it happens. So
Well,
obviously, I'm not driving.
It does.
But...
Well, to be fair, as we said about before the broadcast, both of us managed to do it at the runoffs last season. So I can't talk. I'm just as guilty whatsoever. It doesn't stop me though. I'm having a bit of a bit of a rib of you. But wow. And talking of ribbing, Austin 9.
Yes, anybody needs ribbing is Austin.
Definitely.
Austin's a good guy. I really enjoyed working with him last season. It was fun. Obviously just full of energy. So it's good to see him on the track racing a little bit because I know he was kind of missing it at the end of the last season. So, that's not to say that we're not going to give him all kinds of grief if he wrecks the car.
That's a coin his catchphrase. Austin, I hope y'all have a good night. So just heading down in towards the boot now. Nice and slow behind the Porsche 911 safety car. And we'll be off, as mentioned, 25 minutes of racing. First of 2 races this evening. We've got Formula 4, as you can see right now. Later on, it's the Ford Spec Racers here from Watkins Glen. That'll be an even bigger grid, some big names there. Some drivers racing in both of them as well. Now, interesting, 25 minutes. It's a bit different from the norm. Of course, the Weekend Warriors, we always take to the track for 40 minutes, both the Formula Fords and the Spec Racers. So no pit stops tonight, Charles. No pit strategy. Hell for leather the whole way. No messing. You've got to take those opportunities when they're presented for you. Do you think we'll see that breakaway group and working together? Or do you and then scrap towards the end, or do you think they'll just go right from the start?
I'm just wondering how many cars wide it's going to be going into turn 1 on this first lap. I can if we make it through the S's on the first lap, I can see them kind of getting in line and trying to get a breakaway group going, but there's enough really good straights on this track that I think it's going to be very difficult for them to just kind of break away from the rest of the group. The lap times were really close, so I think we'll see a pretty tight pack for most of this race.
I get the feeling it's going to be pretty tight. And then, if someone managed to break the draft, I think that'd be the distinctive part. But Porsche 911 safety car is in. Let's get ready to go racing for the first time this evening here in the Weekend Warriors Ray eSports runoff as we are green and we are racing down towards turn 1 and into the lead. It's Hendrickson, and as you say, 2 wides, 3 wides even in the background, and as they all make their way through, they've all sorted themselves out. As we head up through the S's for the first time. A good start from Ray and Pocock. They're at 3 places. Some real big moves as Shakers. Corby Heffron's made a really bad start, though. He's down 10 towards the back of the back. But there's a spinner, and there's contact. There's 2 of them. And there's a secondary accident happening behind. And I think there's going to be more cars caught up. Yes, there is. Oh, we did talk about would there be a big incident, and there it is. 4, 5, maybe even 6.
Yeah, that's the thing with the S's is it's very, very tight, and it kind of narrows up before it opens up for the straightaway. And it just takes that one bump like that, and then you've got multiple cars involved.
Meanwhile, back at the sharp end of proceedings, Antonio Rice has managed to sneak his way past Hendrickson. I've seen that must have been on the slipstream. Of course, no bus stop chicane here. That must be on the run all the way down into the carousel. So a great early move there to take command of things from the Portuguese driver. So other than that, I mean, Karch Hansen from, 31st on the grid, so pretty much the back. We haven't even done 3/4 of a lap. He pretty much done it by half a lap. 10 places, Charles. 10.
Yeah, that's a big run. I think that might have been, 5 or 6 of those might have been the accident in the S's.
Yes.
He just managed to get through. But yeah, he's still up and he's still moving. So obviously he's still got a chance to finish off a good result here. He's got a few more cars to make up. But he's moving up in the Spec 2 class.
Yes, cracking start for the Scandinavian and 5 places in class, 6th in class, 10 places overall to 21st. There he is. See him on the screen right now in that 37 machine as they come across the line, as you can imagine, really tight, close times. Antonio Race leads from Hendrickson, Marnie third, although for now, because that's Arabian up the inside of him, but at least Marnie is going to pick up a bit of slipstream. Well, he did initially off of Hendrickson, who was forming up that second left-hand line, and now Marnie in a bit of trouble as Lynn trying to sneak his way through, just trying to get his nose in there, bit of a wheel to get up alongside, and it's like there's 2 separate lines, but up in front for the lead. They're going to go 3 wide, or are they? As Hendrickson tries to shut them down, and Arabian from 4th to 2nd, maybe even to the lead, because he's just up the inside now as they head down through the carousel. But Hendrickson's going to have this one because he's managed to keep his toe in there, and they almost touch wheels, Charles. This is fantastic racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Arabian got a really good start, was able to get up into P2 coming down to turn 1, but I think he went wide and was allowed Monty and Reyes to get back by him. But yeah, these guys up here are not giving an inch. It's a really tight racing right now.
It's constantly evolving, isn't it? Because Antonio Rice, he was leading. He's now down into 5th, so he's lost 4 places out of all this malarkey, this shenanigans as they go at it once again. Arabian, he said, he'd still nearly got into the lead, then all of a sudden found himself back down to 3rd, where everyone was then coming back past him. We've already done 3 minutes. We've still got another 22 minutes left to go at this.
Hey, at least it's about 40.
Or 24 hours.
Yeah, or 24 hours.
Yes.
Yeah, so, I think what we're seeing is obviously the draft is playing a big role in keeping this jumbled up. They are trying to line up now, but it's only going to take one really good one toe down the straightaways. You see Monty look to the inside up front to try to get by. Oh, I'm sorry, but that was Hendrickson maybe that was moving maybe in a defensive position as we see a car coming out of the pits. They've kind of lined up and they're saying, okay, let's ride around for a bit and see where that takes us.
That would be Michael Latero. Wow, that was a little bit close. They slingshot past him at high speed there. As they're going to go 3 wide for the lead. Arabian, Marnie on the inside, Hendrickson in the middle, and what is Link going to do? He backs out of it there at disadvantage. Marnie, he's now into the lead, and you can see, well, it's like he just gave them a boost button there, did Arabian, as he stuck up the inside, and then all of a sudden, off he shot.
Yeah, and then you got, as we're sitting here looking from Lynn, you got Race on the outside of that corner. Is still looking to try and make a move. I did notice that as we were coming through down the back straight, where the bus stop is, when you're using the classic boot configuration, there's a kind of a drop. It's not really a bump, but just the track kind of drops off. So that might be a position of interest for later on in this race, because it is right at the edge of the braking zone for most of the cars as they go over it. So could see some drama out of that section as well.
Now they're all nose to tail like this from first all the way down to Alan Degassias is currently 15th at the moment. Still your biggest, well, what's happened to Carl Hansen? He's not the biggest climber anymore. It's Phil Perkins who's 23rd. Oh, he's into the pits. Oh dear. Yeah, he's only just jumped to the pit, so he came off track, and that's what, as Lynn's in. Oh, has he left quality fuel, Lynn? Yangshi. Like. Yeah, car looked okay, didn't it? And that's disappointing for Lynn. I mean, well, he had an absolute riot while it lasted. It was good while it lasted, sort of thing.
yeah, he had a great run. Obviously, he was doing well, but yeah, if you don't have enough fuel,
you'd argue,
winning
Charles,
is slim.
You'd argue that he should have a great run and he should be performing well, seeing as though he was on quali fuel.
Yeah, much lighter than anybody else.
This is Murakami, Green, and Overstreet there. Oh, as it's getting tight here, down in, well, I say the midfield. This is currently what your battle for 6 involved. No, there's the big one. 5 of them involved.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
All went wrong.
Oh, there's more as well in the foreground. That is Caleb Pocock. He'd had a brilliant start as well. You see Tom Laurie come flying through, someone on the grass there, just trying to get the move done. And all of a sudden, Laurie now at 13 places. He's into 9th. All of his Christmases coming at once, and that's now created pretty much a breakaway top 5 due to that big incident.
Yeah, I think that was the 444 car of Kramer that took the alternate line through the grass. Obviously, as an evasive tactic, but managed to maintain his speed. Yep, just a wheel-to-wheel contact going into the corner too wide. Really easy to do in the carousel. You know, and then of course, as we say, because they're all still running straight line, nose to tail, you're going to end up picking up some
big places.
Some big places, but some other cars are going to get involved in it just because of the tight pack racing they were doing.
And because of that, Chris Montgomery, you can see him just there. He is now at 14 places, having started down in 25th. As Chris Martin says that around the outside, oh, that's Murakami in the pit, so that's looking like, right, let's get your black marker of doom out, Charles. That's no one crossed off the list. Sadro, he's gone as well. He was in the middle of that battle as well when the cars caught up at the carousel. And I think we might lose 1 or 2 more potentially out of that, but still, it's giving us a cracking battle right now for 9th. With everyone nose to tail from obviously 9th all the way down to, well, Overstreet, who's now lies in 16th place, but you've got to wonder how much damage she's got. So swapping around up front, here we go, 3 wide for the lead once again. Arabian on the right, on the outside, going to swoop down, and then they go 3 wide for 2nd place, and they make it through where the previous group didn't. And Hendrickson loses the lead, he's down to 2nd. Marnie, Lasky, Race, making up this group, also saying Jason Green as well. So it's top 6. I mean, it'll take a lot of battling, but 4.4 seconds is the gap back to Bobby West in 2nd. He'll be praying they just keep doing this, just keep constantly tripping up one another.
Oh yeah.
It's the only way he's catching, I think.
I think you're right. Yeah, there's a big gap between P6 and P7, but yeah, as long as these guys are still running side by side, you know, that's just slowing them down. That's bringing the cars behind closer up. So there's still plenty of racing. We've still got 15 minutes of racing left. How many guys have we had, how many drivers have we had already that have been in the lead at some point in time during this race? It feels like half the field at this point.
So of that top 6, it's only Green and Lasky that haven't had a go yet. I use that word yet as being very, very sternly and importantly, and emphasise it a lot, because obviously any time before they have a go. We're off 2/5 through. Hendrickson leads from Arabian, Lasky third, then it's Marnie and Rice. A crucial battle there for 4th at the moment, but first and 2nd in Masters. Then it's Green to round out this little group. Bobby West leads the best of the rest. He's in a little bubble by himself in 7th, and Gassias likewise too in 8th. They're in 3rd in classes. Oh, Tom Laurie loses 9th. No, he doesn't. He gains it back on. There's contact behind. Oh, no. No. It's Green Montgomery made up all those places. Caleb Pocock close over the back of him. Get the marker out again, Charles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can only take 2 or 3 of those, or sometimes it's just 1. But sometimes you can get away with it, and you get, you know, minor damage, and you can kind of keep driving. But all the bouncing around these cars do, I don't think it's going to do a suspension any favors.
No, I don't think it is either. I was getting a bit worried there about your money, which can drift out into Arabian. It was a bit compromised on his entrance to the corner because himself and Hendrickson were side by side. So they headed through the carousel. Just managed to back out of it there, all sorting themselves out. Last thing we want is this top 6 to be dispersed, because it's an intriguing battle being played out for the lead and for the win in the first of 2 races this evening. From the Ray eSports Weekend Warriors Runoffs here from Watkins Glen on Apex Racing TV. And it's such a shame because that group we had battling overnight, they've really dispersed because of that accident. It's Laurie versus Kramer, and they're the only 2 realistically left over that one. So now this is your biggest battle. It's crazy, isn't it? You've gone from the top 15 being nose to tail, and now we're down to 6.
Yep. Yeah, and the gap obviously from 6 to 7 is still hanging around 4.5 seconds. And then, you know, you've got these 3 cars, 7, 8, and 9. West, DeGassis and Lori are kind of in their own little bubble. Just, you know, basically clicking off laps. They're going to need help to get up to the front. And so they're gonna hope that these guys keep fighting on what they've been doing for the first part of this race.
This could be a change from position 12 right now. Overstreet behind Jackson. As they're sitting a little bit further behind Charles Martin in front of them, the Canadian, up an incredible 12 places, one of the benefactors earlier on. As that is Overstreet through, definitely yielded a little bit from Jackson, looking to follow through. There's Lasky's just lost a few places. I see he's moved down to 5th, although they will be down into the carousel. That's probably right. Yes, it is. So Antonio keeps it out of the wall. Antonio race holds on, tucks in behind Jason Green, and well, now we've got 2 Masters drivers bookending our top 6. Marnie now into the lead, but that will not last very long. And that's not because of his lack of ability or skill. These guys are drafting each other left, right, and centre right now. Phil Perkins, he's got the Andreas Bertoni Award for the most amount of places, currently 17 into 16th place. Great drive from him, 7 in class as well. As here comes Hendrickson on Marnie up the inside, a really, well, a standard move there. I'm trying to think of the right word. It's not standard. I'll come back to you in a minute. But yeah, gets it done. Lively stuff. But this is trouble, isn't it? Because yeah, he's ahead now, but just leaves him vulnerable all the way down to the carousel.
Yeah, it really does. Obviously, these cars are drafting really well. And so you might get the run this corner or this straightaway. Within the next straightaway, you're defending for your life with the cars behind. So it's going to be really interesting as we get to the end of this race. Where do you want to be in that line? You want to be first, second, third?
We don't want to be in the wall like Tom Lorry.
We do not. I'm going to guess that's basically just that's the corner that I was mentioning during qualifying. You get out on that, if you just get a little bit of grass on that rumble strip on the outside of the corner, you end up on the left side into that wall. Like I said, there's not much room for error through there.
It's not, and Tom Lorry's found that. That's a shame because he was leading in class. Couldn't quite make it 4 wide there for the lead. They had a go, didn't they? Kane Lasky trying to get his nose in, but it's just 3 wide. Just
3.
You know, nothing to stress about at all. As I'm getting a bit twitchy there with your Marnie coming in second in that orange 23 machine. He then covers off Arabian, the purple 42.
Yeah, these Formula 4s really like the camber in the carousel. They're really having fun taking it 2 and trying to make it 3 wide through there. And for the most part, we saw race with a little bobble. For the most part, they're sticking. They're just riding hard through there.
For me, the interesting one is Lasky because, you know, these top 5, excluding Lasky, are used to, you know, battling each other on a regular basis, with the exception of Hendrickson, to be fair. So, it's a bit of the unknown quantity for me in this one, I think, possibly as well to the drivers around him, and that's always a bit of a challenge, isn't it? Because you never quite know what they're going to do. You know, it's, for instance, you know, Arabian and Rice and Green and Marnie, they've raced together so many times. It's not worth counting for. It's so many. So they know where they'll try it, where they won't try it, what they might do. Whereas Lasky, he's got a bit of an ace up his sleeve here, because Marnie, for example, who's in front of him right now, won't really know what to do if he comes under attack, whether he's faking it or whether he's actually genuinely going for it.
Yeah, I think I remember Lasky from last season in the Spec Racer series. So I think that there's a little bit of knowledge of him from these guys. And he actually had some, if I remember correctly, he had some decent races last year. So he wasn't slow by any stretch of imagination. But I think these guys, obviously with this community, they really know each other. And even if you maybe take a season off, if you come back, you still got that, as we see Lasky on the outside there, just starting to lose the rear, so had to catch it and collect it. So I think they're going to have a good handle on each other at this point.
Just about managing to stay together. Our top 6 right now. 17 minutes on the clock out of 25. Barney leads from Hendrickson, Rice, Arabian, Green, Lasky, your top 6. Trenton, Kramer down in 9th. He's your leader in spec 2 with Paul Jackson, 2nd in class, 11th overall. And then it's Heffron. He's going to make up that 13th overall and 3rd in spec 2. There's Overstreet just, oh no, oh wow, there you go, there's Curse of the commentator done.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was watching. Overstreet took a very different line than Jackson through that corner. Stayed really wide on entry and kind of cut it narrow. Tried to really pinch the apex. So I think she made up a bit of ground during that. I was sitting there looking at it, and even though those top 6 have been really fighting each other the entire time, they still managed to pull the gap out to West and P7 by 7.2 seconds. So even though they're fighting, they're still making up time, and I think it's just the power of the 6-card draft is helping them out, helping them extend that lead.
There's Jackson into the pits. I think Jackson's been caught up in a couple of issues, so that could well be damage. Well, shame for him, definitely. There is Phil Perkins up now 20 places into, well, they made that 21 up into 12, of course, because Jackson's in the pit lane. He wasn't expecting that one when he rocks up tonight, starting all the way down in 32nd. Meanwhile, up front, they're at it again. It's all change. Advantage Hendrickson.
2 by 2.
So
Noah
animals on
proud.
Noah's Ark, isn't it?
Yep.
Starting to get towards the business end, aren't we? 6 minutes left on the clock because we've reached 19 minutes now.
Yeah, so now let's go back to that question. Where do we want to be on this last lap? Do we want to be in first place?
Did I even ask that question, Charles, or do you just know me so well?
I know. I think I asked it this time because I do know you so well, Tim.
Well, yes.
Yeah, so, it's one of these. I don't know if I want to be in first at this point. I don't think there's enough. I don't think that I think the track's wide enough that you're not going to be able to defend, because I think they're going to come from both sides. Oh, and speaking of commentators, curse part 2. That was Perkins, like he's into the wall.
Well, if that car is good enough to continue on, Murakami is catching him at a rapid rate of knots. However, he still has 3.2 seconds advantage over him. In fact, that gap stabilised at 3.1 now, so he's got back up to speed. So, still looking good at the 2nd in class, Phil Perkins, and 21 spots overall. Can he make it inside the top 10? Well, if these top 6 trip up over one another, you never quite know, do you? So Jackson's got up and running again. But I think, just going back to your original point, Charles, I think Jason Green is the most vulnerable out of this. It seems like I think our winner's going to come through our top 3 on that final lap, because they do this every time, 3 wide, and that just blocks the track. I mean, Lasky had to go at making it 4 wide, a lap or 2 ago? Couldn't quite get it done when these cars are just a little bit too wide.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the top...
Oh, Marty's gone.
Arabian, yep. Kept it out of the wall, but obviously he's lost too much time, so now it's just going to be those 5. So I don't think he's going to be able to make that gap up with 4 minutes left in the race.
Well, no, to the point of that, says Bobby West headed past him and Alan DeGarcia. So, in fact, that's a change for position in class, isn't it? With Alan DeGarcia's getting past. So, he's now at 9 spots overall, 5 in class up into... he's going to stand on the 2nd step of the podium if he can hold on that one in Masters. That'd be a great result for him. As you say, Charles, well, right, 1 down, 5 to go now. So we've got, 3.5 minutes left here for Watkins Glen, and Arabian's starting to look a little bit loose for me.
He is. I think and I go back to look at Monty again, but I know he was on the outside. I don't know if that bump maybe tripped him up a little bit, or the little drop off there from where the bus stop kind of rejoins the track, that straight line, which is normally what we would see when running this. It would just be the part that's not used. So yeah, I don't know if that tripped him up or caught him out or not. But yeah, I think I still think any of these 5 have a chance to win this race, because it only takes 2 of these cars with wheel-to-wheel contact, and depending on which 2 cars they are, you might get a chance to sneak through.
Here we go for the free wheel, and they're starting to come up on some back markers now. That could be a telling part of the tale, couldn't it? Potentially. And I don't know about you, Charles. It looks like they were just all backing out, almost like nobody wanted to get into the lead quite now. And it's Kane Lasky for the first time tonight. He's going to take charge of proceedings. Hendricks is second, Race, Arabian, Green, that top 5. To say that, there's Antonio Rice trying to have a bit of a look at the inside of Hendrickson. Can't get it done. Hendrickson coming for the switchback though on Lasky. And as quick as he got the lead, he's going to lose it unless he can defend this one to the inside. Hendrickson looking to sweep all the way around, the long way round, carry the momentum. But has Lasky done enough? I think he has, just about. He's going to have the inside line into the next corner to hold on to this one. But as I say, there's traffic coming up.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the games may have started now to see who's going to be leading and who's not.
Put it out of the books either, Charles. From all to take each other out, and Bobby West. Lasky's round, and he's taken Arabian with him. So there's 2 gone. So that answers our question of it being 3 wide onto the final lap. Hold on. Yes, the white flag is going to be in the air when we cross the line. We're going to have 1 lap left to go here from Watkins Glen. That's a straight dogfight of who's going to finish in what order on the podium. Hendrickson, Rice, or Green. Who's going to take it? 1 lap left to go. Don't go anywhere, because we're about to find out who's going to take it.
Yeah. So we're going to get through here. We're going to hopefully the lap traffic's going to stay out of the way as best they can, because these guys are going to just fan out. We'll get down the straightaway, try and get the run, as we see, already looking on the outside.
Race moves to driver's left of Hendrickson. Where is Green? He's somewhere in this mix. Wow, the man is sat in 6th for so long. But that's closing. He's going to get himself boxed in. His race going to swoop down from the outside. Hendrickson's going to make it uncomfortable for him as they come through the carousel for the final time this evening. Here comes Green. He's got the run. Can he pick off Rice? Oh, he can't, because look at Rice. He moves across to close off that maneuver from happening and open up the corner. And I think Hendrickson, he might have done enough here, because the way they're going to catch that traffic. Well, no, look, they've pulled over, and that's allowed them through. That was Franz Reck.
Very nice job by the lap car.
And I think Hendrickson might have done enough here, Charles. We haven't really seen many overtakes for these last few corners. I think he might be safe.
We'll see. If you can get a good run out of that last corner, we might make it close at the line, but it kind of feels like unless there's a mistake made, he might have this.
It's never quite over to the checkered flag flies, is it though? You never quite know. So we're just on board with Green then. And Hendrickson, he's got 1 corner left to go as he drifts through the penultimate corner. And he's going to take the first victory of the evening. The Ray eSports Week 13 runoffs for Season 2 on Apex Racing TV from Watkins Glen. Hendrickson takes it from Rice, and Jason Green, the man who sat in 6th for so long, steps onto the podium and comes 3rd. Well, I don't you race, you win it in Masters. Marnie's past, he's got past Degasias, interestingly, on that final lap. So he's going to put 2nd in class. Degasias 7th overall, 3rd in class. Trenton Kramer, look at that. Your winner in Spec 2 in 8th. A great result for him. Just waiting to come across the line when he does. It's going to be Phil Perkins in 12th. There he is, just behind Murakami. Up an incredible 21 spots overall. Come home 12th and be 2nd in Spec 2. And bar catastrophe, it looks like Paul Jackson will run out that Spec 2 podium.
Yeah, it was a great race. There was a lot of action during that. Obviously, you see the power of the draft here at the track, and they used it to the fullest.
Wow. Wow. What? Wow. What a race. 25 minutes of absolutely epic action, and we've still got another race here to come. The 4 spec races, they're coming up shortly after we've got everyone across the line, and we bring you through some results. I mean, that's one driver who's going to really feel for it. Corey Hefferon, he was onto the podium overall. I think, did he even leave in Spec 2 for a while, didn't he?
I think he did. He was definitely, he for sure was on the podium. And yeah, it just takes one corner, you mess it up, and that's pretty much race done. Because the cars at the sharp end of this grid don't really make a lot of mistakes. We did see a couple, but it's just hard racing. They were just wheel-to-wheel contact, and sometimes you can get away with it, sometimes you can't.
No, it either way. You roll the dice, you get a double 1 or a double 6, and nothing in between. Here are your Class of 5 results for the first race of the evening. Formula Ford from Watkins Glen. It's Hendrickson with a victory. Antonio Rice second, and the victory in class with Jason Green rounding out that podium. Perez Arabian comes home fourth with Bobby West fifth. Marnie and DeGassius second and third in class, 6th and 7th overall respectively for those two. We tried to Kramer, your winner in Spec 2. Then it's Charles Martin and Overstreet, good recovery drive from her. Murakami 11th. Then Phil Perkins, what a drive from him. 21 places, we said before, up into 12th, second in class with Paul Jackson. Unlucky for some 13, but third in class and on the podium in Spec 2. Carlos Navarro, 14th. That's Warbolt, Laurie, Heffron, McCain. He had a quiet race. Actually, he was involved in an instance earlier on, and then he's done well to recover that back to where he started with Franz Reck. Another one of those drivers caught in that opening lap incident. Managed to climb 15 places up into 19th with Latoro running at the top 20. Then it's Rene Pike, Lasky, Jacobson, Montgomery, Hansen, Knight. Oh, he didn't have a good night, did he? Sorry, Austin. Pocock, Hadlock, Sadro, Mayer, Ray, Lynn, Vicaro, Samaus, Nunez, Carter did not make the start. Bit of a war of attrition there. A lot of drivers retiring their cars. Will it be the same in the Spec Racer 4s? Remains to be seen. Actually, I spotted. Let's go a quick chat to him while he's still in there, Charles, and before we head across into the next race. Antonio Rice joins us now. Antonio, very briefly, wow. Just wow.
Thank you. Yeah, wow. Very briefly, yeah. Yep.
Yes, I mean, it looked like an absolutely great fun you guys were having up there.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun together. And unfortunately, there was some little accidents, and then I survived somehow. Well, I got lucky, but yeah. Otherwise, yeah, I would be dead as well.
Oh, yes, you would have enjoyed it. It came close a few times. Still, winning class, second overall. Not a bad result at all. Got to be happy with that one, surely.
Yeah, very happy. That was a nice final season with the runoffs. And I want to thanks to Steve Ray publicly here for all he set up everything, and for the sponsors as well, and you guys for broadcasting.
That's no problem at all. That's Antonio Rice, your winner in Masters and second overall here today. Well, we're going to head to a quick break now. We'll just move across to get ready for the Ford Spec races. Do not go anywhere. We'll see you shortly.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Wow, just about enough time to get over what we've just witnessed in the Formula 4s. Now it's time for the Ford Spec Racers here in the Ray eSports and Weekend Warriors Week 13 runoffs of Season 2 on iRacing. Live from Watkins Glen here on Apex Racing TV with myself, Tim Cox, Charles Bouchard and Samuli Kumo. Well, I mean, if we have exactly the same again, I just need to go sit in a cold, dark room, I think, Charles, because that was just absolutely epic. Had everything right from start to finish, kept us guessing every stretch of the way. And now we've got qualifying just getting underway with a lot of the same names and some even more people who will be vying at the front based on what we've just seen.
Yeah, indeed. So the funny thing was I loaded into the session, I heard one of the drivers say, wow, these cars have so much more draftability than the Formula 4s do. So with that being said, this is going to be an awesome race with the amount of passes we had the last race from just drafting down the straights. This looks to be like it's going to be intense from start to finish.
There is Alan Kane heading out on his first flying lap. Ran well earlier on in the Formula Fords, had a good recovery drive after getting caught up in an opening lap incident through. Well, where he is now, the S's. It was always going to happen, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
It was always going to happen. It was when, not if, I think is the best way of putting it.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's like I said, it's just the S's are, it's probably the tightest part of the racetrack, and it kind of narrows up as you go through until it opens back up for that back straight, the run down to the carousel. So yes, it's probably the most difficult part of the track. It's so I expect to, I'm hoping to not see it in this race, but I fully expect it to happen at some point with a couple of cars.
Well, you've set the tone now.
Yeah.
You set the tone, haven't you? It's or is that, in fact, the
I'm trying to reverse
commentator's curse?
That's what I'm trying.
And, well, what are we going to see? We're going to see close quite undoubtedly. It was about half a second all the way down to 12th or 13th, which I think was that Bobby West at the time. I'm trying to remember. We've seen witnessed so much that it's hard to know where to look, really, or hard to remember it all. But now, first time's coming in, so Gaspers takes provisional pole with what looks like an astounding lap. Half a second quicker than anyone else. There we go. Simon Mayer slots that one in, but the absolutely stunning lap from him to go 2/10 just behind Gaspers. As there's Lynn. There we go. The gap is starting to get bridged right now as he goes second, 1/10 behind McCain. A solid lap from him into 6th. Who struggled a little bit? Jason Green down by his own stand on that opening lap. Tom Gradwell, well, welcome to third row of the grid provisionally for Tom Gradwell.
Yeah, really good lap by Gradwell. Yeah, we'll start seeing this if the Formula Fords are any indicator. The lap times will just continuously drop for the last half of this qualifying session as they go a little quicker each lap.
Things have gotten just a little bit hotter on track too. As you can see there, 108 Fahrenheit, that's 42 Celsius. So track temperatures have risen about 30 or 40 degrees, 3 or 4 degrees compared to what we've just experienced in the Formula Ford. So it'll be a little bit more treacherous. Wow, do my eyes deceive me?
I was thinking the same thing.
The man who never puts in a qualifying lap always starts from the back and climbs up through the rankings. It's always fascinating to see just how many will climb. One time he does qualify, he sticks it on provisional pole. It's Andreas Bertoni, the Uruguayan. Felix Samal's only 400 slower than him, and then Gasper's only 5,000 slower than Samal's. Ooh, wow. That top 5 especially incredibly close. And there's also some people much further down. Dan Wood being one of, actually, no apologies, Dan Wood's about maybe a little bit down from where we might expect him. But Jason Green down as 17th. He's well down. This is another one well down. Well done, Samuli. He read my mind. Yugmani all the way down it, languishing, dare I say, down in 19th. Murakami, 21st as well. Names we expect to see higher. Flavio and Darlow's had a rough time in qualifying so far. Only good enough for 29th. So he's well down. Evandro Dantas has had his first time deleted, so he'll leap up and into the higher echelons when he gets a lap in, most certainly. So what does Marnie manage on his second lap as he heads across the line, cuts the timing beam? Well, it's better, but not by much. Very good enough for 14th.
It is kind of interesting, but as usual, top 20 within a second of pole, which is what we're used to seeing in the race. Is 2 seconds back to P34. So obviously, those times will be a little bit tighter. Obviously, especially in the Spec 2s, you'll see them. The gap won't be nearly as spread out as that. But to talk about the Spec 2s a little bit, McCain with a P9 overall, 0.65 behind pole. So obviously a really good lap for him.
Yeah, really, really good lap for him as Green heads out onto his second lap. Of course, drivers do have 3 laps available to him. Lone qualifying, which is a little bit different to what we normally see here on the weekend Warriors or the Sunday night on Apex Racing TV, where everyone's open on the track, open qualifying. And also, it's the cold hard shuts as well. So when that clock runs out, it's not like we normally have in the weekend Warriors where it gets extended, you get to complete your lap. No messing around here in the runoffs. That time runs out, that's it. We're done and dusted. And I think there's a few drivers that might get caught out by this one. So Simon Mayer, currently 5th. This is going to be his last flying lap, looking at where we are on the clocks right now. So he comes through the 3rd to last corner, that tricky corner that we were talking about earlier on in the Formula Ford races, through the penultimate corner. Personal best in Sector 1, personal best in Sector 2, personal best in 3. No improvement in 4. It's going to take a big final sector. Can he climb from 5th on the grid as he races to the line? There's going to be any improvement. 202.87 to beat for Mayer. And there we go. That's good enough for pole.
What a great lap. 200ths a second above Bertoni.
It's at the fastest final sector of anyone, Charles, did Mayer, and that was what was good enough for pole for him. Green, ironically though, fastest sector 1 of anyone. He's currently down in 18th, so he's wanting another go. Personal best in sectors 2, 3, 4. Here comes the big time from Green. He races to the line. He's got to climb well above 18th, surely. He's got to be inside the top 10 with this sort of lap based on those sort of stats. That's good enough for 6th, 3rd row of the grid for now for Green. Wow.
Great lap by Green. 700ths of a second separating the top 4 cars.
Oh, it's borderline insanity. I laughed because it is like that. It just shows you how close it is. And one of them is Andrea Spitoni, who never qualifies ever. I think 2 years I've been commentating on the series, I've never seen him qualify once. And there you go. He had provisional pole, but Simon Mayer, I do believe, may well be his first ever pole position. He's got Andrea Spitoni alongside him on the front row. Felix Samals and David Gaspers make up row 2. Then it's Yang Lin and Jason Green on row 3. Row 4, Friends Arabian has got Tom Gradwell, a great qualifying from the Aussie. Absolutely astounding. And top qualifier in Masters too, to make it row 4. Row 5 and top 10 is Overstreet and McCain. McCain being a top qualifier in Spec 2. He was a bit higher up, so he's dropped down a little bit in the last stage of qualifying. Then we've got Steve Elson and Jason Perry, the all-British row 6 with John Vogel and Bobby West making up, sharing the 7th row. Row 8 being Georg Marni. Disappointing for the Swiss driver by his own high standards. He's got Chris Montgomery alongside him. Next, the Mexican Dan Wood with Dan Sandro. What we're going to rename row 9 being Dan Row. Then Lasky and Stephen Mitchell are going to run out that top 20. And for row 10, again, 2 drivers well down, and Murakami and Dantas. So they're going to start from row 11 with Brad Cathcart and Charlie Vicario making up row 12. Row 13, that's Mark Carter and Eric Doty, this all-American row. And Bradshaw's got Phil Berry for company. And then row 15, all Masters, Kurt Nunez, another driver may be disappointed by his qualifying performance here. He's starting alongside series organiser Stevie Ray. Flavio Andalo, another driver to suffer in qualifying, well down on row 16 with Paul Jackson. Corey Heffron, hoping for a better finish to what he had towards the Formula Fords earlier on. He starts next to Josh Justice, and it's Gary Walbolt and Ian Gibson. Jeff Jacobson and Charles Navarro on row 19. Row 20 sees Karj Hansen alongside Jeff Horniak to round out that top 40. Row 21, not setting times from here onwards, but these two have made the track. That is Zaber Gonzalez and Trenton Kramer. Caleb Pocock, yes, he did get to the grid, so did Perkins as well, but they did not set times, and that's going to round out your 22 car grid here from Watkins Glen. Big pressure now for Mayer, isn't it?
Yeah,
it
was a great lap by him.
Oh, well, I mean, it was just felt like it was one of those laps where just everything comes together for you, and that you've got you're like, where that, I don't even know where that came from.
I think that's right. Yeah, you have one of those that just you hit all your marks, you carry as much speed as you can, and it just all works out for you. Sometimes you need one of those. So it's going to be interesting to see this front row and what happens. Because obviously, as you mentioned, Bertoni is never up here. So obviously, I think he's a good enough driver, but because he always, we always kind of watch him work his way through the field, and it's like, okay, how many is he going to get today? He's usually up 20, 25, 30 spots. So we'll see what he does from the front this time.
I mean, he's so high up on the grid, he might even have a nosebleed. It's the altitude of being that high up. I've never seen him qualify ever. What can he do? The maximum he gained today, Charles, is 1 place, and that'll be for victory.
That is true.
But it's going to be fascinating to see, because we never see him battle with these front runners. And I saw him in the chat earlier on, and he's not in here. That was Marco Panero, the Italian. Bit surprised to not see him here today in the runoffs.
It's a bit surprising.
Yeah, he was in the chat. earlier on as well, saying hello, you know, making sure that we knew he was there. We knew you were there. Disappointing. You're not with us. That'd be, mind you, I think everyone else might be breathing a sigh of relief, to be fair, with the form that he's been displaying of late. So maybe it's a good thing and not a good thing at the same time. Gaspers has got pedigree. Where'd you pick?
Well, you know, obviously, I think all the guys in the top 4 rows, you know what, I'm going to say the top 5 rows, any of those drivers are good enough to win this race. I'm really kind of looking down at Monty and actually Lasky and Dantas, P19 and 20. Obviously, Lasky had a great race in Formula Fords just a few minutes ago, and Dantas is usually a front runner. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do from mid-pack.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to watch those guys come through if they can. Andalo, Nunes, well done. He's starting down in 29th. Well out of position. But let's get ready to go racing from Watkins Glen for the second time this evening. Porsche 911 safety car pulls in. Simon Mayer controls the pack as we are green and we are racing at Watkins Glen in the Week 13 runoffs for Ray eSports and Weekend Warriors, and already Mayer coming under threat there from Felix Samels. As we said, these guys love to draft, and this could be him losing the lead, but make the most of it while you've got it, Simon Mayer, or can you defend it to the inside? Let's find out as we head up through the S's for the first time. Hopefully everyone can make it through here, as already starting to have a bit of a pack front, starting to emerge. Overstreet just taking control of the chasing pack behind it in 8th place as he'll fan out across the track here as well. Samals is taken to the front. So's Paterni, Gaspers, they're all side by side. We're going to go 3 wide, or are we? No, they back out to 2 wide. And Samals ahead of Gaspers. Well, maybe just for now, because Paterni's in there. Mayer and Lynn in this top 5 that you can practically throw a blanket over.
Yeah, it looks like everybody made it through the S's on lap 1, so that's great. So that means all the cars are still in play, and it's just, all right, how fast can you get to the front now? As we see a little bit of a gap starting to emerge.
It's back to McCain, isn't it? Who's leading in spec 2. Looks like it always feels a little bit like it's the cork in the bottle. It's literally the whole field piled up behind him right now. I mean, say that, piled up behind him. There's only 1.1 seconds gap, isn't there, between himself and Green, who's currently occupying 7th at the tail of that front. Oh, that's Vogel ride.
And they're still looking to try to make things 3 wide going into this corner, which is not a good idea.
No, entry it's okay, but it just tightens up so much and really narrows up the track on exit. It's so deceptive because on entry, it's as wide as it's one of the widest points of the circuit, excluding the massive runoff areas that you have at Watkins.
Yeah, for sure, but it's a 90-degree left-hander, and it, like as you said, tightens up very, very quickly. And there's really only 1 or 2 good lines, 2 at the most, and that's stretching it sometimes to get out of that corner.
Yeah, I think you are stretching it there, to be fair. But that leaves a whole heap of time anyway. At the end of lap 1, Samals leads from Bertoni, Gaspers, Mayer, Lynn in this front group with Arabian and Jason Green, who's just about holding on for dear life at the back of it. But they're already 2 wide. Here we go for the 3 wide. It's Bertoni, Gaspers, and Samals. Will Lynn get involved? Oh, Lynn pushing Bertoni there in the middle of that 3 wide to try and get himself ahead. Is it going to work out for Lynn? No, it's not, but it does mean Bertoni's going to take to the front. Gasper's on the outside there. Samals could sneak through, but he can't carry the momentum. Lynn trying to follow Gasper's through. Will he get it done? Yes, he will. Up the inside surely here.
Yeah, just 2 by 2 going through there. And yeah, and you know, oh no.
Big one.
Stevie.
And Darlow caught up in it too, Charles, and I think Pocock as well. Oh, there's another one, John Vogel as well. That's further on though, that's a separate incident.
I think it's a separate incident. I think he was, I don't know if he got help or not, but I think he'd already had a little incident in one corner. Maybe he was just struggling a little bit with the handling of the car.
Let's have a look out. Oh, so Andala came in hot, made a collision then where he was half spinning. That was it. It just started off the chaos. I'm amazed, Charles, there was not more people involved in that one.
Yeah, because I think he was still mid-pack at that point. It's surprising there's about 15 cars piled up in that corner. So you hate, excuse me, you hate to see it though, because obviously, you know, some good drivers back there, and just was a mistake. Like you said, getting too hot coming into the corner, couldn't hold it on the inside, pushed out, collected another car.
As well, some bruised. Let's look at not looking good. Landalo trying to limp it back home there. As meanwhile, the best of the rest being headed up by Elson, who's jumped up a few places here. Evandro Dantas in there. Oh, wow, there's another big one down at 90.
Oh, Lasky. Who else we got there?
Brad Cathcart. Maybe
and that's
those
the exit of turn 1, and I think we see our fair share of incidents there. As they're 2x2, you know, I'm gonna.
Oh, wow,
you know,
almost out though.
Yeah, I'm always loving the bump drafting. Anytime we can get involved with that, that makes my little NASCAR heart happy.
Your deep south NASCAR hat.
That's right.
Evandro Dantas really getting the elbows out there on Elson to try and squeeze his way through. Although weirdly, you know, despite coming into the carousel in the lead, emerges after the next corner. Not it. Elson's managed to grab it back from him.
I was going to say earlier, Elson and Overstreet had gotten by McCain to try and to get out from behind that cork, as we talked about a little bit earlier. But then Overstreet maybe just got in the wrong line, got held up again, and so she's dropped back down. But Elson, Dantas, and West have all managed to get by McCain. McCain obviously still leading Spec 2, so he's doing a great job. But, you know, sometimes you just have faster drivers, and you have to let them go and try and hold on to the tail as best you can.
Okay, still leading Spec 2 and 11th. Marnie now your leader in Masters. He is 13th with Gradwell, dropping those 6 places down to 2nd in class. Meanwhile, Murakami now, he's up 5 places, 1 in class. He's up into 3rd in Masters. Spec 2, that is obviously McCain first, then Montgomery, and Phil Berry down in 20th. He's climbed 8 places overall to get himself into 3rd in class. As well, they're all scrapping here, and it's starting to get a little bit bitty. It's Elson back ahead now of Dantas. Oh, Dantas has really lost out there, hasn't he? He's lost, what, 4 places, maybe even 5 here potentially. He's hung out to dry on the outside. Is everyone getting themselves in order and pushing their way through? You asked for it, Charles. There you go. There's 4 wide. Oh, and there's contact as Overstreet on the outside cannoned into. Elson holds it together, and oh, there's further contact behind. It was Gradwell who initiated it. Oh, and there's more further contact. Oh dear. Montgomery comes off the worst. Oh, and there's more going through too. More spinners. And who's that? That's Ian Gibson. Oh, after a good run from Gibson.
Yeah, I think the contact between Monty and Elson, it were 4 wide. I think looked like it was netcode. And obviously, you know, not really much you could do about that, especially if you're 4 wide. But then the secondary set of wrecks were just all people trying to get checked up to keep from getting in the first wreck. And then, you know, you just got that accordion effect. It just keeps happening.
So see someone run a little bit wide in the background there. Didn't quite catch who it was. That's who it was. It was Chris Montgomery. Got up on that inside early on. Do wonder if he may be carrying a bit of damage potentially from those incidents. It's down we come. Our lead group into turn 1. 8 minutes already. We've only got 50. Of course, we've split out into 2 heats, aren't we? 2 races for fun. Didn't see. Wow. We get to do this all again, Charles.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. as we see them 3 wide through here. It's just, yeah,
Arabian on the
they just
brakes.
line up and push and try and get that line moving. And now we're 3 wide, double foul. So 3 wide through the corner. It's going to be tight.
Oh no! Big snap there in the middle of the pack. An Arabian shouldered out, but survived somehow. And that's all. That's over street.
Over street. Oh wow. Yeah, how did she end up over there?
I was thinking exactly the same thing. That's a strange part of the track to end up in.
It really is. I'm gonna guess she had help, just based on, because that is an odd spot, especially when you're not using the bus stop.
Right. I think now, according to our timing software, Alan McCain came off track just before. Oh, that's how.
Yeah, another 4 wide situation. So I think we've learned that 4 wide down that straight's not going to work.
Will it stop them trying?
No, not at all.
They'll probably even go for a 5 wide just to prove you wrong, Charles.
It's very possible.
That car's destroyed. But of course, 30 will progress into the next round, the feature. So it is well worth keeping going. And Overstreet is right on that cusp, Charles.
Yeah, I was going to say, do they have a fast repair? Because if she can get a fast repair in this race, well, obviously, yeah, you're right. She's right on the edge of transferring to the next heat. So if there's a fast repair available, that would be that'd be very beneficial for her. Because that car, she's not going to be able to maintain that spot with the way that thing's crabbing down the straightaway.
Oh no, she'll be eaten alive. That's for certain. Well, you can see Jeff Horniak just in the background there. By that line, Charles, I'd say she's coming into the pits.
Yes, she is.
Oh wow, that thing. I mean, from this angle, you see just
Yeah, so interesting to see what happens when she actually gets to her stall. If everything looks nice and shiny and new again, or if she just is done for the race.
I mean, she was done for the race, Charles. Surely she just would have parked it and just jumped into the pits. Checked out that way. I mean, I could be wrong.
Oh,
there you go.
Fast repair, back out. Now she's got quite a bit of time to make up, and not much time to do it. But obviously, Mega's a really good driver. She's usually quick everywhere we go. So if anybody can make up a gap, she's as likely as anybody else in this field to do it.
These guys here are all through. Do they know it? Oh, I was going to say the last thing they want to do is have an incident that could drop them out.
Correct.
And Carlos Navarro, wow, he's going to come through. That's Linda Bertoni.
Wow. Big shake up front.
Let's have a look, Charles. So they'd actually pulled ahead. Our concentration and everything was happening behind them.
Oh, just bump drafted. I think he was just trying to bump draft too late and got into the braking zone for Bertoni and didn't realize it.
Well, that's good. I mean, those two, when we cut to that replay, I was shocked at just how far ahead they were.
Yeah, they had got a really good run.
Is it me or just group behind starting to close up a little bit on that front group?
Definitely looks like it.
It feels like that, doesn't it? It definitely does. And well, we can see right now. So what was a top 7 is now a top 5 with Samals leading from Gaspers. Mayer back onto the podium. Arabian and Green as well there. Bump drafting here. Bertoni, he doesn't want any of that. He goes it alone right around the outside on the S's to make it 3 wide. Once again down the back straight, Lynn just behind him. Will he bump drop Bertoni? He's going to be too far back. West had it covered off. He moves across the right-hand side of the track, but Bertoni swoops down and in doing so moves himself up into 7th place. Oh, that's going to be close.
Oh,
wow.
That was close.
Wow, actually, he has quite managed to grab that place from Gradwell.
Well, I think the off-track there slowed him down. He just carried way too much speed into the corner. And used every inch of the tarmac on the outside to try and get that around, and then maybe a little bit of grass on top of that.
I don't think it's any maybe. I think there was definitely a bit of a coming together of the grass, and the groundskeeper giving one last bit of turf that he didn't have to mow. As this is Bertoni finally getting the move done on Gradwell. That's 7th place, or maybe not quite done and dusted. Yes, it is. And now Steve Alson running very wide in the background there. Well, where is... Keeping half an eye on... Oh, that's Karj Hansen carrying straight on. Where is he, Charles?
That's the heel. So,
it is, isn't it?
Yep. So that kind of feels like another one of those. Maybe that was a little bump and run action going into that corner. He just had, he was trying to use his brakes to stop 2 cars, and it just doesn't work that way sometimes.
As the battle for lead resumes, but Samal's pulling out half a second, but it won't be enough because that will disappear. It will dissipate. It's down to 3 temps. It's going to drop inside 2 temps. He's defensive to the inside. Arabian damage to the front right of his car. He'll stick behind Samals. What will Gaspers, Mayer and Green do on the outside line where they push each other to the lead? It's not going to be enough though by the looks of things. I think they've held on to that one. I mean, amazing really. But that's half a second, just dissipates down to
no.
Getting around. And Lynn, it won't save that one, will he?
No, I don't think so. No.
Pushing hard to recover places, and in doing so, oh no! Wow,
yeah, that's just a really bad space. That is not where you want to be sitting sideways for sure.
Wow, Murakami's come off further down the track, Charles.
Yeah, I think Murakami basically had to take evasive action, might have got on the grass on the inside of the carousel, and you can take a little bit of curb there, but if you take all that curb, it will sometimes hook your car and bring you around. That might have been what happened in that situation.
Well, it's definitely been entertaining, hasn't it? And well, we're on to the final lap. I mean, I don't know where that's quite gone, but we are there already, and well, they're swapping around up the front. This is going to go to the line. Look, Samal's looking good. They're battling behind him. It's Gaspers versus Arabian. Advantage Gaspers in 2nd place. Just coming to the final corner for the final time in race 1. Here are the Ford Spec racers, and Samals is going to take the checkered flag as he moves across. Oh, this is going to be very close, isn't it? Right across the line. Gaspers 2nd. Arabian, Mayer, Green. I wondered if he moved across too soon there. I know he did it to break the draft, but that camera angle made it look a lot closer than what it was in the end.
Yeah, it was pretty close. So yeah, that might have been, or he may have actually pulled over, maybe lifted a little bit. You just never know. But yeah, it was definitely closer than they were racing before they came through the last corner.
Wow, that car's definitely bruising batters of limbs. It's definitely seen better days. It's going to definitely a trip to the panel beaters to get those out. That is for certain. As you mentioned, top 30 progress through to the next race. And that is a little bit longer at 25 minutes. So there is John Vogel. And was he the last one? Yes, he was your last one through.
Yep.
The last one to make it. Wow, what a race here. The opening race from the Ford Spec Racers. I don't think we quite expected that one. I mean, first off, Andres Bertoni qualifies.
Mm-hmm.
Drama before we've even taken to the grid. Simon Mayer with the qualifying of his life to get it on to pole. Bit good for him, he only finished 4th in the end, but I think he'd take that considering, got my word out there in the end, what it was like in front of him and all the battling. And of course then we saw Lynn move, fall by the wayside with Bertoni after their contact. Gradwell picking up the victory in Masters, and McCain win it in Spec 2. Of course, doesn't really stand for too much because it's all about the final, which is coming up very shortly. And we're going to be formed from the race results from race 1. Although, I don't know about you, Charles. It said the top 30, but it looks like it's actually gone, do you know what? I'm feeling generous. Let's have everyone in here.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's have everyone. So there we go. So we're going to line up in the results from Heat 1. So that's Samals. He will be on pole after winning. Then Gaspers, second. Arabian and Maya. I'm going to line up alongside one another with Jason Green, Bobby West, and Andres Bertoni in the end, coming home 7th. Tom Grabwell, you win it in Masters, but it'll be surprising, maybe. I mean, you're Marnie, I mean, that's a good recovery drive from him. He started well down, and I think about 15th, 16th, so he's about to get back up into 9th, ahead of Steve Elson to round out that top 10. Evandro Dantas starts 11th, so he came back through the field, so he did well. Dan Sandro, he's 12th, then it's McCain, your winner in Spec 2, with Bradshaw, Kurt Nunez, Corey Heffron going well there, 16th overall for him. Joshua Jacobson, 17th, then it was Jackson Lynn all the way down in 19th in the end after that incident. Francis came and round out your top 20. Then it's Charlie Vaccaro, Joshua Justice, Doxy, Chris Montgomery, who had an eventful race to say the least. Karl Hansen did well to climb through the field. Stephen Mitchell, Carlos Navarro, and John Vogel taking up to 28th, with 29th being Jeff Holdiak, and the top 30 rounded out by Gary Waldbach. Flavio and Darla didn't make the progress we were expecting him to see. Likewise, Murakami, I mean, though that is masked because he was caught up in that big incident into the carousel. Phil Berry, 33rd. Overstreet, of course, caught up in an incident. She could have finished comfortably inside that top 10. She comes home 34th. Then it's Caleb Pocock, Phil Perkins, Dan Wood, Brad Cathcart, and Kane Lasky to round out top 40. Then we're into, well, Ian Gibson, the last runner, but he was a lap down into retirement. Mark Carter, Jason Perry, both retiring 5 laps from the end. Then Gazabol in 44th, although he did not take the grid. And likewise, this time around, Jason Perry has not still 42 cars out on track. Oh, wow. See, will they play it? I mean, longer race, will they play it calmer? It's still some 15 minutes shorter than what they're normally used to anyway. I don't know how this, how do you pan this one out? You've had your sprint race. This is your feature.
This is the feature. So obviously you got to get to the end of it to win it, obviously. So I think the guys in front will probably be a little more conscious early on, just trying to get some laps logged. But, you know, we've got that group in the back that had incidents in the first race. And, you know, at the risk of cursing anybody, people like Lynn and Overstreet and Andalo that normally run toward the front. So they're going to have to be very, very cautious and patient as they work their way through the field. But obviously they can't be too patient because it's a shorter race. It's 25 minutes. So it's just going to be interesting to watch some of those cars in the back progress through. It's going to be, I think we've got a good group of fast cars with the end of that race where people like Monty and Elson manages to hang on to the top 10. So I think that group that's in front is going to be a bit bigger at the start of this.
Your comment there about making it to the finish, to having to finish the race. That'll be similar to Lee Diffie. He had made a cracking comment earlier about Roman Grosjean in the Le Mans 24 Hour. Apparently, 10 years ago, he was 10 years younger.
That is true.
That's
is. Absolutely a true statement.
Also true. Porsche 911 car is in. Felix Miles takes control. Let's get ready to go racing for the second time this evening here in the runoffs as we are green and we are go. And who's going to take this one? Is it going to be 2 from 2 for Samals? But Arabian says, hold my beer, watch this, and heads straight through, and Samals into the back of him. And in doing so, Charles, he's all the way down to 8th. May even lose more places.
That was a very that was a good move by Arabian. He had the line, he had an open track. And then I think maybe he might have parked it on the apex a little bit to get around that corner without pushing wide. And I'm not sure that Samals was quite expecting that, as with 3 wide up front already.
Already. Didn't take long, did it? Dantas doing well. He's just at the tail end of this little group here. Bertoni pushing himself to the front. So he's at 4 with Bertoni. Dantas is up 5. Samel's down 6 after that poor start from him. We were expecting whatsoever. John Vogel, he's had a cracking start. He's up 6. So's Egg Dogsy 2 as they all sort themselves out. But it's a bit loose. Oh, this big incident, Charles. Oh dear. Oh no. There's the big one.
Yeah. I did see it looked like there was a few cars. I think Overstreet came in on the inside, had a little opening there, so a couple cars got clear. But Yancey Lynn obviously a bit worse for wear. They're already coming back to the pits.
Oh dear, it's all gone wrong for Yangji Lin. Let's take a look at how it all unfolded from his perspective. He's got Dantas behind him, who just he taps him. There you go.
Just simply broke. The guy behind was not really expecting that, and it's pretty straightforward as far as this goes. It's unfortunate though. Obviously, kind of looking at them to maybe move up in the field during the race.
Now, despite all that, Charles, the top 30, the largest gap between any of the cars is 0.6 seconds.
Yeah, I think we got through turn 1. We got, for the most part, a little bit of contact. We got through, the carousel on the first, the first at least half of the field plus. So yeah, it's still early, so all the gaps are going to be really tight for the time being. As we 3 wide again.
Oh no, Charles. I think Jason Green, is he going to squeeze this to 4? No, he's trying to find a lane right now, and he's picked Ferenc Arabian on the outside. Mayer was leading up the hill. There's 4. They got it done. Samal squeezed his way through to take control. He came from about 5 cars back there.
That's crazy. What a great move. Just drove straight up the middle to move from piece 5, 6 back up to the lead.
They're all trying to sort themselves out and organise each other as to who was pushing who. Felix Smell said, well, if you're going to leave big out there, I've got to run. I'm off, guys. You sort yourselves out. I'm heading on through. And doing so takes the lead here on a lap 2. Meanwhile, behind them, it's starting to get a little bit of a gap emerged. See, Bobby West, he's on the tail end of what is forming our top 9, who are all nose to tail. It's still side by side. Bertoni was leading early on, and then it's all dropped down. It's up, down, around right now, and everyone's just starting to follow through. Luckily, they've caught back up again. So it's still looking like all the way down to 25th before the gap is bigger than even 3/4 of a second. Still incredibly close, incredibly tight, incredibly competitive, but did we expect any less? Let's face it, here on the weekend Warriors runoff. Well, across the line comes Samals. He's going to lead. Marnie leading in Masters. Gradwell's dropped down a little bit. McCain still holding on to that victory in Spec 2. If he can make it 2 from 2. He's looking strong for it. He can just bring the car home. Meanwhile, just having a bit of a look. Kane Lasky's had a good couple of opening laps. He's up 14 places. Would have benefited from that earlier on incident. Here we go up the hill. Through the S's. They're all moving around. Gasper's looking a little bit agitated right now as Arabian goes for that favoured outside. We've seen him use it quite a few times, Charles.
Yeah, I think he feels like if he could just hang on to the outside line through the carousel, that gives him obviously the inside line for the next corner. So he's
contact!
No good contact.
That's Gasper's, and then he's into Dantas there, who loses his bonnet, and that's kill off his straight line speed and his race. Right, that's one done.
I mean, that's just another one of those that's, I don't know how they made 4 wide even for the brief amount of time they did last time. So so that time it was 3 wide, and it was just another one of those situations where a car maybe moved a little bit on the straight and made contact, or even net code contact with the car on the inside, and start off a chain reaction.
Got a bunched up group for a couple of them actually, to be fair. So Gaspers has dropped all the way down to 9th, and he's just about holding on to that tail end of that lead group. There he is. Behind him is then Adam Bradshaw, who's locked in a 5-car fight, maybe 6 cars even, back to Ed Doherty in 15th, and then Chris Montgomery leads for basically essentially the rest of the pack. Right behind them, there they are right now. There's Ed Doherty in the 994 machine, 5th in class. Up 8 places. Did I hear a spinner? I did. It's okay. Lasky for that great start.
Yeah, he was moving up the list and just took 2 wide into the penultimate corner. He was on the outside and kind of lost out.
So there's the recovering Overstreet. So she now holds the Andres Bertoni Award, shall we call it, for the most places gained. 15 now. The young American racer up into 19th overall. However, 1.9 seconds the gap to Jeff Jacobson, who's next up on the list, and is going to need a push from Flavio Andala if they want to try and catch up with this one. Oh, no, that's Bradshaw. He's had a big incident, and that's a really strange place.
Yeah, that kind of feels like maybe he...
Oh, no.
Oh, so close. Oh, there's still a little contact going on back there. It kind of feels like maybe he got on the inside curb and just lost the car and went across. Not really sure. Obviously didn't catch that till the very end of it.
I'm trying to see if there was someone else maybe. There's not. Who came off track, who might have had a bit of an argy-bargy with him potentially. Maybe McCain. Potentially. Nunez and Green, he was all involved around those guys. So maybe that was something relating to them. Meanwhile, up front, it's a new leader, and it's York Marnie. For now.
Yeah, for now. Exactly right. So yeah, that group is. They haven't really stretched out the gap to the second group that's starting with McCain at P10, who's got ahead of Gradwell. Nunez has got ahead of Gradwell. I think Gradwell, as we were saying, was probably the cork in the bottle there for a bit of time. So we'll see now that McCain's up front if he can maybe get that gap narrowed up a bit. But they really need to do a good job of working together and maybe staying in line. Smouse is in. That's odd.
I mean, it can't be.
I think it's too late for fuel.
Well, because he would have learned. You should have at least 15 minutes of fuel on board the car if he'd left it in from what we had in race one. Is that instant point limit? That looks like a drive-through.
It definitely looks that way.
I mean, that's been rough for him if he's already hit that.
I mean, the only other thing I can think of is obviously incident limit we can't really see.
Jump
start.
Did you
good job.
Did you get jump? Is it a drive-through for a jump start? I'm trying to remember now.
If he did, then he should have been DQ'd already because we're on lap 5.
Very good point. Very good point.
The only thing I could think of, the only other thing...
no, it wouldn't be necessary because, of course, they have a rolling start here. So, that's Montgomery.
I mean, the only other thing, as we said, was Doherty off in the grass as well, is maybe he had a slowdown because he was in the middle of that pack. He couldn't get it cleared fast enough and maybe got a black flag for that.
Oh, that's a good point.
I don't know if that's a drive-through or if that's a stop and hold though. And so that's the other part of that.
Either way, a penalty for one of our front runners that's really demoted him to 30th, Charles. That's painful.
It is very painful. It also just goes to show you how this pack is still, even with that's probably a 20-second slowdown, by driving through the pits. It just shows you how tight this pack still is and how much racing there is still left to do with just a little under 15 minutes left.
I mean, yeah, when you said about that, I mean, I'm looking at it. I mean, yes, there's between Elson and Gradwell, there's a 3-second gap. However, I mean, that's still realistically nothing. Other than that, there's a 1.7 gap between. So that's Montgomery. He has been in the walls. So that's probably going to be repairs. I mean, other than the Heron and Dirty 1.6 second gap. They're all still nose to tail. That's being displayed here. He's going to go
nose to tail 3 wide, but still nose to tail.
And interestingly, Arabian just dipping down towards the inside there. A little bit surprising from him. Marnie in the lead. Jason Green now up into second. Yeah, different line there from Arabian. Maybe trying something a little bit different. You see just in the background there, Gaspers and Elson starting to fall by the wayside. They're right on the cusp of losing touch with the slipstream.
And then backs it into the wall. Misses the wall on the slide, but just backs it in so he can get his car turned. And obviously got some left front damage there. That kind of tells me that he might have got into the right wheel of somebody, which caused him to spin. I don't know if that was from then or from earlier, because I think he's been in a battle already during the race.
That is very true. Yes, but he's been in a few battles, to say the least, hasn't he? Yes. Well, one of our many drivers to us, actually, to be fair. Oh, that's a big incident there. Cross catching that old Pocock. Nowhere to go. That was the catalyst for it. Completely helpless. Not sure about the restart, and I think that might have been some else.
It was some else.
It goes from bad to worse for the Portuguese driver. Chance of victory, and now...
Oh, wow. I have never seen a car crab that much going straight in my life, and I watched NASCAR for a long time.
It's nearest up at 45 degrees. I mean, the car looks like it's turning straight on. It's actually getting around the corner.
That's absolutely insane.
If they had side windows, he'd be driving on, looking out the side of it now. It looks like he's drifting to perfection.
It does. It does.
That's 45 degrees, Charles.
That is crazy. He did obviously I think the rejoin was a little not great, but he did a good job of driving that car in its condition back to the pits without spinning it.
Myself, that would have been dead.
Oh, yes.
Easily. Wow, sit rep. So we are just over half race distance. So that's Green, he's just dropped down a little bit. West up into fourth, but Marnie leads overall and in Masters. Arabian leading Spec 1, second overall. Oh, Pezzoni just ran the second time.
I said that might have been a little tap in the rear by Gaspers.
And if it was, Charles, that of course happened in the previous race where Lynn tapped him in the rear, and luckily he stayed right on the back of this group, so he can slipstream his way through. So we've got Mayer third, then West, Gaspers, Green, Elson, Bertoni to make up that front group. Then McCain leads Spec 2, he's ninth overall. Then it's Gradwell and Nunes, second and third in Masters. Overstreet, she is up to 12, so she's recovering well. 22 spots. It's a great drive.
And she's dodged a couple of pretty heavy bullets during this race.
Yes, we say a couple. There's been a few of them. I'd say a few more than a couple, realistically. Jacobson 13th, then Sadro, Justice and Heffron. They're second and third in Spec 2 right now. So it's a great result for Heffron and Justice if they can hold on to those positions. Certainly for Heffron. Dirty, Mitchell and Vogel and Ray going to round out that top 20. As these lots sort themselves out, or will they?
I think this group would do well just to stay in a straight line, single file, instead of battling for positions at this point, because you've got a little under 10 minutes left. And if they can get up to that next group, they can jump that gap. There's a lot of spots on offer for them.
It's possible as well. It's 2.7 seconds is the gap to McCain, who's now at the rear of that train, ahead of them. Also involves Nunes and Gradwell too. So that's a chance of being inside the top 10 here in the runoffs, and well worth picking it out and battling for. Like that 4-way bump draft down the back straight. They gained so much time.
Absolutely, yeah, and Megan's obviously got good pace because she's jumped to the front of this group, and her last lap time was faster than like the 5 cars in front of her.
That's Green Charles.
Green off.
And he was in that lead group.
Yeah, he was having a great run.
What's happened to Jason Green? I'm trying to think where he was. I think he was around about the mid pack of that lead group. Yes, he was. There he was. So that's Gaspers. Pulls to the inside. Does he outbrake himself? And does Gaspers drift wide?
Yeah, just pushed him way wide.
I don't know.
I'm going to reserve comment on that one because that's that looked like Gaspers just used all the racetrack and didn't leave him anything on the outside.
Well, I don't know about your end, but my end it was showing that Gaspers was basically and Green were inside one another. So
yeah, it was close.
Talking about close though.
Maybe it was netcode and he got pulled out there. I'm not sure. Because we have obviously, if you've done iRacing long enough, you've seen it where cars will get hooked together and just drag each other along down the track.
That's Arabian into the lead. Marnie second. West is now third. Bobby West, that'd be a cracking result for you. Simon Mayer in the mix too. Patoni's still there. Don't discredit him. Gaspers has now dropped off the back of this group and he's been in 1 or 2 incidents, so maybe I think they might be as well. He's a strong driver in these Ford spec races, so I think there's quite a few people in this league group could well be happy with that one. He's no longer part of it as Alson runs in deep. That's going to allow Batoni to try and sneak up a place on the inside there on Simon Mayer. It's going to fall to the back of this little, set of 6 cars scrapping away for the lead. We're starting to get towards that point, aren't we, Charles? We saw it in the previous race where it's coming towards the business end and starting to think about your moves for later on.
Yeah. It's just, the last couple of laps here is really we start looking at what works and what doesn't, what you think you can get away with, where you can make your runs on the cars in front. So obviously, this is not going. There's no way this is going to be the finishing order of this race. And of course, we saw it in the Formula Ford race where, we had this big group of 5. Started with 6. We had 1 spin out. It became 5, and then 2 of them got together and at the front of that group, and then the other 3 cars went on to finish the race.
Based on that, we've seen that's Stevie Ray in. Normally first the stoppers in the full length format of 40 minutes. However, that is no fuel required. He's guessing that must be damage related. He's had a rough old time. But meanwhile, out here in front, we're going 3 wide once again as they drop back into 2 wide. West leads on the outside. Batoni pushing him into the lead there. And Arabian, well, his pushing partner is Marnie behind him, but it's not good enough. And Bobby West leads. Arabian still on the inside of Batoni though. Batoni can just hold it in. He'll have the inside into the next corner and could hold on to this one, but he can't. And Arabian second. Batoni has himself third. And Marnie, who was leading, this time last lap? Now down to pretty much the back of this group.
Indeed. And that's why, you don't know how this is going to end up. Just because they swap in positions, 4 or 5 times during a lap. You could be first now and you'll be 5th by the time you get down to the next corner.
I'm not sure if I'm happy or sad the fact we haven't got Lynn and Samals in this group as well, and Gaspers as well, because I'm not sure I could quite cope with it. I mean, Jason Green, he was another one involved in this group earlier on, so they are slowly falling by the wayside, dropping off bit by bit. And there's Green, he's well off now, but in a little bubble of his own. So this group, they haven't really caught up onto the back of McCain, have they? No.
Yeah, 3-second gap. Looks like it may be down to, that's about 3 seconds up to Green. So yeah, they really haven't made any progress, and that's even with Green maybe falling back a bit.
A lot of that's got to be to do with the battling, hasn't it? That we're seeing right now being displayed. Well, in this group and also the chasing group. Although Overstreet has pulled away, but I think it's you can be 4 or 5 tenths ahead coming into turn 1. But come the carousel, it's a tenth. If you've got a 10th lead on your competitor, you've done well.
Indeed.
Here we go.
Back, so.
Ding ding, round 11.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to take it. He's going to lead it come the end of the straight. It looks like it's advantage Arabian. West hugs that inside line.
Monty got a good run on the outside.
He did, didn't he? Look at that. Is he going to sweep down? Batoni's pushing Arabian. And West goes from the lead down to 4th. Mayer trying to sneak through. Can't quite get it done. Now Marnie doesn't seem to be well, no one's made that outside line work yet to get a lead down into the corner, but Marnie's as close as anyone has ever been. Oh no!
No.
That's Bobby West. That's another one gone. Right.
That's another one gone. I didn't see because obviously I think they're in contact.
I think there was Simon Mayer because look, he's dropped behind.
Yeah.
Gaspers. So we're down to 4.
Yeah. Down to 4.
You called it. You called it absolutely smack on, didn't you? Where you said, you know, we started off with a big group and then we're all down in the earlier races. We'll probably have the same again. Here it is being played out live. Look, 3 minutes, well, 2 minutes 50 left on the clock. And when they come around, I think they're going to take the white flag here.
Could be close. I'm not sure. I think this may be 2 to go when they get to the line. But
yes.
It's going to be really tight.
Yeah, it's not going to take them 30 seconds to get from the last 2 corners. So this is going to be 2 to go. We'll keep an eye out for Barney, the flag man, just in case. Is he waving? Well, young Barney trying to steal it away from sweeping across, trying to break that draft. No white flag, so we've got 2 to go. Do you want to beat Marnie and just go, do you know what, guys? Come on past. Please, be my guest.
Oh, I don't know.
No, because 4th it seems to be the power play place to be in from what we've seen previously, but then there's less of them now.
Yeah, but that car in the back is getting maximum tow, whether it's 1 or 12, or 2 or 12, I should say. But see, as they're 3 wide again, with Elson taking the lead.
Be a lot for Steve Elson to hold on to this one. Marnie drops down.
That was a really good move by Elson. He moved down to the inside line to prevent that run that Arabian could possibly have. So that was a really smart move. He was clear, obviously, that it was not anything dangerous, but it was well done by him.
Oh, it's Jeff Jackson going to hold on to this one right around the outside. I think he might do against Overstreet, despite having Dantas pushing her. Apologies, that's not Dantas, is it?
Justice?
Thank you. It's Joshua Justice. Pushing her along at the end. Well, she's back at the lead of this group.
Yeah, he had a good run, but he just couldn't hold it. She did a good job just keeping her speed up through those corners, carousel, and then the chute, as they call it.
So it's going to be white flag this time around across the line. 1 lap left to go here from Watkins Glen, and who's going to take it?
As we come back, there's already been another lead change of Arabian out front.
So based on how, no.
That's...
Do you think where it ran so close to the clock, do you think that he's a lap short on fuel? It's got to be. We've seen it from Arabian before.
Yeah, I think that's...
Although, I would imagine he would have pulled right across, wouldn't he? So this says to me some sort of penalty.
I think so.
Yeah. Oh no, where are you going to come out, friends, Arabian? Oh, I think he's going to be all the way down with maybe Ed Dirty in 16th. Yeah, because they're going to have the run coming out of the final corner. Yeah. Meanwhile, it's 3 wide. This is it. Your top 3, Elson, Batoni, and Marnie. As Elson hugging that inside line. Marnie can't quite get the run. Batoni on the outside, and it's Steve Elson, the Brit, who's going to lead into the carousel, but Bertoni trying to squeeze back through on that outside line to give him the inside into the next corner. Can he make it stick? Alson is a wily old fox, though. He's seen that one before, because he knows if he can keep his car there, and if he can keep it clean and nearly touches Marnie, then he'll have the inside into the toe. And he's got it, Charles. He just needs to defend this one because it's easier to defend the next few corners. But look at the run Bertoni's got. What's Marnie going to do? Is he going to push Elson as they make contact to Bertoni and Elson? And here comes Marnie. We're going to go 3 wide into the corner. No, Elson covers it off. And onto the brakes, that covers that inside line. Bertoni still tries to go right around the outside once again. He uses all of the track and some more, going for the Kevin Estra pass in the grass style. Manages to do so, get his car just in front, but Elson's going to have the better run off the corner. But now Bertoni's got the inside line. Who's going to get it? It's neck and neck. No one giving an inch whatsoever. Marnie helpless because there is no way through. Who does he pick? Elson does not want to give this up whatsoever. On the inside, he makes contact with Bertoni, and as they come across the line, they're going to be 3 wide. Hold tight, folks. Here we go. Who's going to get it? Nobody knows. And at the line, it is Bertoni by 0.08 of a second. Wow, what a finish!
That was crazy. What a great finish. Yeah, Monty basically for the second half of that lap, all he was trying to do was take the inside line and push as best he could to try and get up into P2 so he could at least challenge for the win. But Elson and Bertoni just did a great job. I think it was basically almost the entire lap side by side, at least from the backstretch all the way back around. Just absolutely great driving by them.
Absolutely epic. Absolutely epic. I thought Marnie, he looked like he was completely out of it. I mean, technically he still was because he came home third, albeit by he missed out victory by what 1.5. That's not even 1.5, more like 1.25 tenths. Yeah. That's what he missed out on victory by. But it just all where Elson just got a little bit squirrely into Bertoni, pushed them both wide, then opened the door for Marnie, and well, what a finish!
Great way to end the season.
It's not a bad way, is it?
Yeah, it's great.
Scary thing is, in 1 week's time, we get next season underway here on Apex Racing TV. No let whatsoever. There is Jason Green, who comes home in 5th. He may be disappointed by... Well, Willie, I don't know. He'll be disappointed by that one. He could have been there, but then so could so many of the others. Gasper, Mayer, Lynn, West. The drive-through for... Samaus, who comes home 38th in the end, Charles.
Yeah, just, you hate to see that. Guys like Lynn and Samaus have been running up front basically all season long. And just bad luck to get taken out. It's the last race, but obviously great season for those guys, for everybody. Just enjoyed this thoroughly, and this race was just a capper on a fantastic season.
Not bad at all indeed for a finale, and Bertoni takes the victory here by 0.08 of a second. Marnie in 3rd in a race to the line between the 3 of them. Gaspers comes home 4th, Green 5th, and it's Mayer, Gradwell who's 2nd in class because Marnie winning Masters. McCain, your winner in Spec 2, 8th overall. Nunes to round out that podium in Masters in 9th. Justice 2nd in the end in Spec 2, so great result him and inside the top 10. Then it's Jakeson, Overstreet, good recovery from her. Corey Heffron 3rd in Spec 2 and 13th. Then it's Sadro, Arabian, Walbolt, Arabian, go for him that penalty. That really cost his race. Walbolt, Carter, Mitchell, 8th is 18th. And then we've got Murakami, 19th, disappointing for him. Gibson's around in the top 20. Then Dantas, 21st. Vogel, Berry, and Darlow. Bobby West, he'll be disappointed with 25th. Navarro, Karch Hansen, Cathcart and Horniak going to round out. So in Charlie Vigara to round out the top 30. Then it's Bradshaw, Jackson, Wood, Doty, Ray into the retirements now. Kramer, Samaus, Montgomery, Lasky, Perkins, Lynn, Perry, and Ganzabal did not make the start. Right. Let's have a quick... well, we've only got one person sat there. We'll grab them, and we've not got a lot of time, so we're already running over. Jörg Marnie, what a finish, mate. What a finish. I mean, it looked like you had no chance in those last few corners. Then all of a sudden, it just all opens up for you.
Yeah, that was fantastic race. I loved every single lap, actually, of it. It was really tight sometimes, but it was great fun. And at the end, I misshifted actually there, the last corner. I should have shifted down into third gear, so I had a bit more exit speed, but I forgot it, and I left it in fourth, and I said, okay, either it works or not. But it didn't, but it was great fun.
It was most certainly indeed. I mean, when you have a finish like that, I'm sure, you don't really mind finishing third, surely. I mean, it's still the winning in Masters as well.
Oh, but it doesn't matter. Masters, normal, it doesn't matter. We're all the same, actually, in this vRunoffs, and that's what's so great about it.
It definitely is, indeed. That's Jörg Marnie, who finished third only by, 1 1/4 attempt here today from Watkins Glen. Well, Charles, let's wrap things up quickly here. Just wow.
Wow. That is the word of the day today. It's just wow. What a great way to end the season. Battles all up and down, as we're used to seeing, up and down the field. But then, 3 cars within, just a smidge over a tenth of a second at the line. Fantastic way to finish it off.
It is indeed. And well, from Watkins Glen, I've been Tim Cox with Charles Blashal and Samula Kumo. Thanks very much for joining us. Next season gets kicked off next week here on Apex Racing TV. Make sure you join us then. But for now, from Watkins Glen, good night.